Yo, so the opinions and views expressed in this podcast are that of our own and the future Bachelor podcast only, and not affiliated with any outside party or entity or anything like that. This fun podcast, though, may include some adult language.
Future Bachelor podcast.
But why don't we get into what we like to do around here? You know what I'm saying? It's that time to talk about Bachelor stuff on our show and more. This is the show that provides all the Bachelor and reality TV drama you might be missing while we're in the off season of the Bachelor shows. But before we get talking about the Bachelor and all that stuff, YouTube, I need you to go ahead and subscribe, smash that thumbs up button, and hit that notification bell so you can get notified every time we drop new Bachelor content, just like this. And if you just did, whoa, huge shout out to you. Ooh-wee. Air horns for you. Oh man, it felt good to say that, you know. This is the part where we have to shout out our comment crew. That's people that leave comments on our YouTube videos. And I had to go back, to our last video and make sure we saw who we saw in there. But there's people in there from the OG crew, Nancy Drew crew. What up, guys? We got Catherine Ann, Kathleen Kent, and Marion SP. Chelsea Allen must be, on summer vacation, but I'm sure she'll be back in no time. So shout out to the OGs, and you could, get a shout out too. All you got to do is leave a comment on our YouTube videos that we drop mostly every week, unless we have a crazy bye week like we just did. Very rare though.
Yep.
But I wanted to go ahead and get into a comment of the week. I thought this was, relevant in the sense that we are back, and it could give us a little something to bump into our topics and stuff. But our comment of the week comes from Catherine Ann. She says, "Hello, crew. I think Zach and Katie have a better than average chance of making it longer because they're going back to normal. The people that keep high influencing seem to have more added pressure, and it crumbles quicker." So yeah, what are your thoughts on that, V? We talked about it a little bit, 2 weeks ago with them going back to their normal lives after being on the show and stuff.
Right. And I agree with Catherine Ann on this one, because I think, the added pressure of trying to make your money on social media, through influencing, through deals, I think can add it's like a third in your relationship, in this situation. Like you have those, like you're at the demands of brands or brand deals, or just like your phone. And I think it, kind of makes the pressure you have to look a certain way or be a certain way as a couple. And I think being like going back to their jobs Katie's a nurse, and Zach works in software sales. If that's still what he's doing, which I'm guessing he might be. Then that's like those jobs have pretty typical, like long 9 to 5 hours. You're under pressure of that kind. But to me, I feel like that it's not on display.
Yeah.
You're like it's just different.
Totally. There's like, I think Catherine put it best, like there's pressures and stuff that go into these, like, Bachelor Nation couples, especially when you're a lead and like a quote unquote winner. Especially you see things like, we follow Dave Neal and his content for Bachelor stuff, and he was just on Caitlin Bristow's podcast, and he talks about how people are in the comments like, what's going on with her and Jason, are they still together and stuff. Like, that's, first of all, that's like a crazy thing to like just be talking about, like,
Right.
It's just like, first of all, like, how would he know? Like, is he going in there, like, getting all nosy? No. But then you have people also like Matt James, who we'll be talking about a little bit more in a bit. But, people are discussing like alleged breakup rumors with him and Rachel, because they just aren't making as much content together as like they were. So it's like, people assume because you're not making that content together as frequently that there's there's problems in the relationship and stuff. Who knows what's going on with that? But those are like the type of pressures when you're going out there and trying to influence together and all that, So I totally get that. And it seemed like Zach had a pretty level head until the end there, where he kind of almost fumbled the bag. But Zach had a pretty level head when it came to what he was looking for and how he wanted to have this whole experience go for him in his relationships and stuff. So, thank you, Catherine, for having that comment. It gave us a chance to kind of like reflect back on that conversation from past pod. But yeah, V, why don't you get us into some topics here? What do we got going on in Bachelor Nation?
Well, we're counting down to charity season. We have like 3 weeks until her season starts. It starts on the 25th. 26th, excuse me. Looking at my calendar wrong here. And we have her cast pictures and cast info of her dudes. So far, it looks like she's got a couple of errands, which that's a different one. Maybe Aaron I guess she's like, 27, 28. So maybe Aaron was just a popular name. I haven't realized that. Aaron. We're seeing the one guy from the pictures looks very interesting. He's got some long hair and a cowboy hat. And I'm like, oh, is she going to go for this like cowboy man? Who's to say? I'd be surprised. I feel like he's going to be kind of a gimmicky entrance. Do we have
anyone that kind of stands out and you think could be like the potential next Bachelor?
From my look, I was trying to see if I could find the name of the guy who's sitting next to her. Oh, I think I found him. Oh, his name's John. He goes by two names, John Henry. And he's from Virginia Beach, and he's got a whole armful of tattoos, and he's an underwater welder. Is that a real job? That's like an underwater basket weaver.
I don't know what that is. I understand like the need for an underwater welder, but what's the point of an underwater basket weaver?
That's like, I feel like that was like always a joke to be like, to do like an underwater basket weaving. Like you're like, oh, sorry, I've got underwater basket weaving class or like whatever. Like I felt like that was always like a joke or something. So like an underwater welder, like it makes sense, but that's like the most bizarre like title I feel like I've seen for a job in a while on this show, which I guess, what does that say? That like an actual real, like, blue collar ish or like, working with your hands job is something. And I'm like, that's so crazy when we get like people who are, influencers.
Yeah. I mean, it also seems like one of those jobs that like are like not that they're hard, but they're dangerous. Like, I mean, I guess that adds like a level of hardness to it. It's like those people that climb up like, crazy like telephone like the satellite things or whatever, and they have to do it like every couple months or something, and they get paid mad money just to be able to climb up there.
Or like window washers.
Right, exactly, on skyscrapers and stuff. So it's like, to them, it's probably like an easy job. Maybe they just don't have that fear of heights like other people would, that make it like feel dangerous and stuff. But I mean, it's
fear of the sea.
Yeah, I mean, anything underwater where you can't breathe, I would think it would be kind of pretty dangerous. Yeah, especially when you're dealing with like welding materials, like what is that, fire underwater? That's crazy.
Yeah, I don't know how that works. I mean, it works for sure. It's science. Yeah. But like, I don't know how.
Right.
I'm sure Bill Nye could tell me.
It's outside of our pay grade.
It is outside of our, we're just here to tell you the fun pop.
You know what's in our pay grade? Bachelor.
That is our pay grade for sure, because I can't be out here pretending that I could even do underwater welding or even know how it works.
What else we got going on?
So speaking of Matt James earlier, his mom, I guess, has been in talks to go on as a cast member of Golden Bachelor. So I guess, which it's interesting to me because technically, like, Matt James became a lead just because he was besties with Tyler Cameron, and they were doing, like, that other ABC-related show about how they went in and, like, helped feed inner city kids and, like, did all that, like, inner city kid work and whatever. So I wonder if, like, if he just still has, like, that good in on ABC, obviously, but, like, it's just an interesting, like, kind of trickle-down effect if, comes to...
I think people, if I can remember correctly, like, people just really liked the mom. Like, it just seemed like a really, like, she seemed fun, right. And, it's actually like a very, I don't know if Matt James actually does have a good relationship with The Bachelor. It kind of seems like he's tried to put that behind him. I mean, they had a lot of controversy there at the end and stuff. And I do remember them kind of botching his season, especially being the first Black Bachelor. And stuff with, like, bringing on his dad and stuff like that. Yeah. So I think it's definitely interesting. But I think the interesting part here for the Golden Bachelor is, like, that's an aspect I didn't even really think about. Like, parents of past contestants, that's genius, actually, because
that is smart.
Or, like, it could be parents of, like, celebrities or parents of anybody like that might be known. You'll definitely want to follow those people's story a little bit more, right? And that's kind of like the idea behind, that's the formula behind, I think, the success of The Bachelor, with it being like them continuing to use cast members in future seasons of, like, being the next lead or being in Bachelor in Paradise and stuff. And that's how you keep the ecosystem going and stuff, with those familiar faces. So I think that's a great idea. There's definitely been parents in the past that have stood out in the actual main show. So, seeing some of those folks that might,
like Rachel's dad, Pilot Pete's mom, like,
exactly,
stuff like that.
So
I feel like JoJo's parents, I don't know if you watched JoJo's season, but her parents definitely stood out too.
Yeah, JoJo was, like, I think the first Bachelorette season that I watched, because she was after Chris Soules. Was she on Chris Soules' season? Or no, Ben Higgins, right?
Ben Higgins.
So who was after Chris Soules? Oh, that was Caitlin Bristow, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right?
I think so, because Ben was on her season.
Caitlin and what's her fetch?
Yeah, when they had the first original 2 Bachelorettes for that one episode. I think it's a good idea. I'm excited still to see the Golden Bachelor. It'll be interesting to see people that are supposed to be more mature and see how it actually, like, if there is pettiness that goes on, because everyone's petty, right?
Everyone is petty. You're right.
And what's funny? I follow this YouTuber. You ever heard of Cody Ko?
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, I love his commentary on stuff. He's just hilarious. I never thought I'd be one of those people that like YouTubers. Like, but I am. I do love a good commentary, that people that just, like, are funny and can comment on anything. But Cody Ko had this series where he started, like, the first episode of MILF Manor. And
oh my God. I think I've seen clips of this.
Oh my God. The show is the worst show ever, like, created. Like, it's, like, not good in the sense that, like a mom is going on there with her son, and they're both looking for love.
They're both dating.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
But yeah, so it's, like, interesting to see, like, women of that age, competing in a show for love and stuff. So it's like these people that you, like, be like your friend's mom, but she's talking crazy on camera, and revealing secrets about herself. Anyways, what else we got going on?
So Bachelor in Paradise has started filming. There has been, Jesse and Wells are making their way down. They, posted to their stories this past weekend of them flying in, Wells' little bartender shirt, the whole bit. So that's starting to film. I believe it will come out, if it's filming now, and I'm guessing, and if, What's Her Fetch Charity Seasons comes out in 3 weeks, I'm guessing that their stuff will come out in like September, which is when Golden Bachelor is supposed to come out as well, if my memory serves me. Yeah. So we'll have to see how that all goes. Right now, obviously, we talked like a couple of weeks ago who has been predicted to be on there. Right now, it doesn't look like it would be Clayton. Obviously, not Katie Thurston, because she said that, and potentially Rachel, but I really doubt it because Michelle Young was just celebrating her birthday in Nashville, and like Rachel's whole thing was like, if Michelle goes down, I will too. But maybe they get who knows? Maybe they get brought on later. Who knows?
Yeah, I'd be interested to see Rachel go down and how she would do.
Right.
Because I don't know, like she didn't get the full like post-Bachelorette treatment like Gabby did. So it's like there's a weird like difference, even though they're from the same season. But like, I don't know. I feel like the caliber of Gabby kind of went up, like her price went up, just in series talk. But yeah, I mean, I'm very excited to see Bachelor in Paradise. Almost like I wish it was coming up soon. I mean, I know I'm hoping the Bachelorette this season is good. I mean, we kind of had.
I think it'll be good. I'm excited for Charity. I just think she's great.
Yeah.
And I'm interested to see who from her season would be going to the beach as well, because obviously her season's pretty much done, if not already done being filmed.
I think we've talked about it in the past, but I also do like the Bachelorette in the sense of seeing guys competing for love and how their game is, like, just as a guy, it's just interesting.
As a guy,
you like to see how other guys Oh man!
I guess.
All right,
sure.
guys. Anyways, what else we got going on, Bachelor Nation?
Andi Dorfman, who was one of the first Bachelorettes that I ever watched. I think actually Desiree was probably the first one I ever watched. But Andi has always been a fave of mine. She actually used to live in Atlanta. I think she doesn't live here anymore, but she's like from Atlanta-ish area, lived here for a long time. She married Blaine Hart in Sorrento, Italy. I feel like Italy is the spot for weddings right now.
It's the spot for Bachelor Nation.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, it's funny because Andi Dorfman was the season right before I got into, because Chris Soules came from her season. So Chris Soules is like cemented in my head as the first season of The Bachelor that I'm familiar with and stuff. But I'm like, I'm a little, because was there Bachelor in Paradise before that? Like, I feel like Bachelor in Paradise started sometime after that. Maybe it started because like sometimes like they'll show like previews of old Bachelor in Paradise. I'm like, I have no recollection of that, but I must have watched it at some point.
I feel like I've watched all of the Bachelor in Paradise, but maybe I haven't.
Yeah.
But then because then Bachelor Pad was before all that, and I never watched Bachelor Pad. But
so Andi Dorfman finally found her true love.
Yeah, and they got married. And it's actually interesting because her ex from the show, like who she got engaged to off the show, Josh Murray, still lives in Atlanta. Mm-hmm. And he is, I think he's like a realtor around here. I actually think friend of the show, Nate, who was on our show years ago, knows him and is friends with him.
Yeah, I mean,
Atlanta's a small town.
Yeah, I was gonna say because I remember
it's the
like
small town.
Do you remember when we used to go over to our friend Katie's place and watch The Bachelor and all that stuff together?
Yeah.
Do you remember when she was like taking an acting class? This is way before I even got into acting class. Like,
Oh yeah, that's right.
And she was like taking an acting class, and I remember like reading with her, like trying to do lines with her and stuff like that. And it's funny because I'm just thinking about this right now because that was so long before I got into acting. But I remember her telling me that it's Josh Murray, right?
Right.
He was in her acting class or something like that. Do you remember that?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, it is a small world. And then I did see him. There was a season of The Challenge on MTV where they brought in people from other shows and stuff. And Bachelor was one of them. And he actually competed on that show.
He was on, yeah.
I don't know. I feel like I just recently saw him in some type of news, and I don't know if it was flattering, but I can't think of it off the top of my head at the moment. But
I don't remember.
But anyways, yeah. So good for Andi. She seems happy, and she's successful, right? She had like a nice book and stuff that got released years ago and stuff.
Yeah, she exposed, like, she's one of the main, like, I feel like whistleblowers of like the behind the scenes of Bachelor. Because like I feel like her people like reference a lot of stuff like in her book.
Wasn't Nick Viall in that season too? Isn't that the season he came from?
Yeah, Nick Viall was in her season.
Yeah, dude. So like that's so crazy that he
Right.
supersedes like even my time watching the show.
Yeah,
that's insane.
So yeah, because him joining Caitlyn's season was the second time he had ever been on,
and that was like kind
show.
of like the beginnings of Bachelor Nation, like, hooking up with each other inside of like casts and stuff. And I mean, also to fast forward to that one the season before he became the Bachelor in Paradise, where Josh Murray stole his girl again on the beach.
Everybody's connected. It's so incestuous.
Oh my gosh. If you just went down like a family tree, it's like Game of Thrones or something.
It literally is.
Yeah. So yeah, interesting stuff. Damn, I just had a thought too, but I'll have to come back to that. What else we got going on?
So Tyler Cameron he went on Out of the Pods, which is the podcast by Natalie and Deep D from their season of Love is Blind. And he was talking to them about how, he has some regrets about how things were handled, like post him being on Hannah's season with like, leaving her house and then being seen on a date with Gigi and all of that. And he just like kind of really, he's like, I feel like I really didn't realize like what this show is going to bring fame wise and like where I was at. Like, he's like, I was just dating like I normally would and like not really recognizing that I was like dating Gigi Hadid or like dating like Hannah Brown, who was a lead of the show and all of that. So
yeah, I mean, I think I did hear a little bit about that stuff. Like it's very interesting. You could have like I mean, objectively, or it's like whatever you want to say. I mean, as a guy, Tyler Cameron is a very good looking guy. He's more guys talking about guys, like, but I think even him talking about and being very transparent about how he didn't have much money, like, and he's dating like one of the like most like successful like models and stuff, and having
like calling his dad up to send him money, like, to go on a date,
on a date and stuff. Like that's crazy. Like, that's almost like irresponsible. What I'm saying? Like I had, now I'm here, I am moving in with my girlfriend and stuff. Look at you also in a relationship and stuff. But there was a moment where when I was dating and I couldn't really even afford it. I just like, knew I wanted to like put myself out there, but it's like, that's kind of like in a person's life, you kind of have to realize your current situation, and all that stuff really does come when you kind of start focusing on yourself a little bit more and trying to like level up. If you don't have the money to go out and date, you probably shouldn't be going out and dating. Like, you're at that point, you're trying to impress people, like, whoever you're dating with a false sense of, security and all this stuff. And, because he's like such high profile and in, public view and stuff, it's like you have to keep up with the Joneses, you have to keep up with all these other people that are out there. And his was very interesting because, he was getting into more modeling and stuff. And, he wasn't taking as many probably like influencer brand deals. Like, he was kind of being very, what would you say, careful with his brand, at that
like
time.
Strategic.
Yeah. So
because he could do high fashion, so he wasn't going to do like the gummies. He wanted to be all like, I want to do like a Calvin Klein ad.
Yeah. So, I mean, it ended up working out for him. I mean, if you can get like the highest caliber of women, you're gonna dip your toes into that water, you know what I'm saying? Like,
Right.
almost on
Why
some
wouldn't
Pete
you?
Davidson stuff. But yeah, I mean, it's interesting. I'm glad things have, like, you know, turned around for him. He seems a lot happier and comfortable in his life. I know he was talking about, like, the possible future of, like, what happened with him and Hannah. Like, what was the reason why he thought he could actually see himself marrying her, right? But, like, obviously she's now
he
married to someone
said-
else.
Yeah, he said how, you know, like if she had chosen him as the final like rose, he's like he really thinks that they would be together and like married. Which now she's like very happily with somebody else, and he's like, I think they were able to, like he said, he's like, obviously I think, you know, we went through a period where we didn't really know exactly what each other wanted or what we wanted ourselves, and you know, I think that changed their friendship and relationship there for a while. But then I think they've gotten to a better place where they're able to be friends again. Because I feel like there was like a period of time where it was a little like iffy because, you know, I think she was there for him when his mom died and all that stuff. But I think it just got a little weird. And I think, you know, they both have some regrets about how all of that ended. I mean, I know Hannah does how she did choose who she chose, but on the show, but
Isn't that crazy how life is? Like,
yeah.
I mean, they had the opportunity to be together, but it's like your decisions in life sometimes like will be the outcome of like what ends up happening, you know, because it's really hard to get over being like picked after not being picked. Like, you know what I'm saying? It's like, oh, now you want me because like it didn't work out with you and the guy you ended up picking. Like, I just don't even understand that decision actually. Like, maybe she thought it was too good to be true with like, you know, Tyler, or she like there was other life stuff that we just are not privy to.
Well, I feel like that's what she kept saying on the show. She would keep saying, like, when she was with Tyler, she'd be like, it feels too good to be true. Like, I mean, it was well known that she didn't have sex with him in their fantasy suites. Like, they've said it because, like, she fully, which I don't know if I agree with her, but, like, she, like, fully was all like, you know, like, I want this to be more than about, like, our physical relationship. Like, if I know, like, if this is going to be real between us, like, it's going to be real no matter what. And I think, you know, I think she was inherently, maybe she semi self-sabotaged, maybe she didn't. I mean, I think everything happens for a reason. Because like, I think in an alternate universe, they did end up together, you know, but then in the universe we live in, they didn't, and they're very happily doing their own thing. But, you know, I think it is kind of weird to think about.
Totally. Anything else in Bachelor Nation?
Yeah, you brought this up, how Sean Booth, Caitlin Bristow's ex from the show, and he actually has like a pretty successful fitness gym, like boutique fitness gym and brand and stuff in Nashville that actually I've had friends who do like the kind of dance classes that I do, like do collaboration stuff with his gym. So I think it's kind of crazy. Once again, small world. And he has his own podcast now called In the Booth. It's only a few episodes in, but it definitely feels like he's, you know, doing his own thing with bringing in different guests. Like he has Sean Johnson on for one of his episodes from last week, it looks like. It's, you know, talking more about athletes, artists, entrepreneurs, military, moms, fitness, everything in between, motivational stories, healthy habits that lead to success, relationship tips, and more.
Yeah, I mean, what we're here for is his angle on conversations about Caitlin Bristow, because you know, she's had like a clear runway to kind of have her narrative on her side of the relationship and stuff.
Right.
Not saying I know one or the other, but I know she has mentioned quite recently, you know, situations with Sean and kind of like his character of like how he was like courting her and for what reasons and stuff. Like, you know, he wanted to not break up with her specifically because he was opening his gym and, you know, kind of using her celebrity and stuff. And that's from her, like, allegedly. Right. So it'll be interesting to hear, like, his point of view on, or if he even does talk about that type of stuff. But but yeah, he's not going to let just Caitlyn and Jason be in the pod game and not get some of that money being left on the table.
Not get some of that money.
Yes, sir. Well, what do you guys think? Like, you know, the questions are up for you. Leave it in the comments below. Are you excited about Charity's upcoming season? Is there any men from the cast that you're like, oh, damn, I need to get some of that? You know what I mean? Are you excited about seeing maybe other past contestants' parents on Golden Bachelor? Is there any parents that you can think of, like, from recent past that would be a great fit for this? Even if it's not in Bachelor Nation, like some, like, known parents that would be great cast members in a Golden Bachelor. Let us know. Have you heard any rumors about Bachelor in Paradise upcoming season? You know,
don't spoil anything for us.
Yeah, don't spoil, but let's talk. I don't think there's much to spoil. They haven't even filmed yet. So or they're filming now. And what would you have picked Tyler Cameron if he was on your season of The Bachelorette or The Bachelor?
All day long.
Whatever. Yeah, so just let us know in the comments and you get a shout out there. Another quick reminder that there's a full episode of this podcast available everywhere you listen to podcasts. It goes live every Wednesday. So, you know, subscribe, rate us, leave a comment, and get more from us outside of just Bachelor Nation stuff. If you're like, I want to hear about what happened last week with Sai and Veronica. Why didn't they drop a podcast or a YouTube video? You get to know if you listen to the podcast. And we got a lot more things coming up after this as well too. So keep a lookout there, and we'll see you next week with that.
Future Bachelor Podcast.